Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Extra Time, joined by George and Marshy. Marshy, how you doing, mate?
Yep, good, mate. Evening, how are you?
I'm all right. George, how are you?
Good evening, I'm fine, mate. Yourself?
I'm all right. All the better for spending time with you two. I've got Leeds game to look. I'm still miserable. I normally try and start this in kind of light-hearted manner. I normally try and start this with a bit of a fun question, and we'll get this going. And I'm still fuming about Sunday.
Reading.
It was just, yeah. George, are you over it?
No, I'm genuine. I watched my fan cam again this morning. I was like, cool, prepare for this properly. I was like, I still stand by everything I said. David Sullivan is rubbing his hands. We're at the FA Cup, all focused on the league. I hope we go down. I genuinely hope we go down because it'll hurt him. Me, you, and Marshy will still be there, but it's going to hurt him. So I hope we go down.
I don't know about that. I'm a Premier League supporter, mate. I'm a Premier League quality.
Oh, you
Premier League
boring
football.
bastard.
I might try and take a loan move to Coventry next year when they come up. What about you, Marshy?
Yeah, mate. Do you know what? I initially sort of coming away from the ground and that, obviously, there's a lot going on, wasn't there? There's a lot of hoardings up and a lot of, extra security and escorting and old Bill and all the rest of it. But I came out initially and I thought, I'm gutted. But I think when you think about it a bit more logically, and like you say, we get caught, don't we, after the game initially? So the, emotions are running higher. But I think that one was, as I said in my fan cam, I think if it wasn't the case that the semi-finals were at Wembley and there was a day out riding on it, I don't think it'd have mattered. It'd have mattered even less to a lot of people. But I sort of think, like I said to you before going on air, we've got a lot to do in the league, and now that has got to be is the prime focus. We've got to get to Friday, and we've got 4 games coming up now, sort of succession, that we really need to be looking to win. So I'm not too disheartened. I mean, obviously yes and no, but the bigger fish to fry for us at the moment, I think.
I was really torn just to touch on the Wembley thing, because obviously, Marshy, we're old enough, and George looks old enough to remember a time
Shut your mouth.
when cup semi-finals weren't played at Wembley. Like in 2006, we went to Villa Park.
Yeah,
1991 was Villa Park. Obviously, 1991's a little bit.
Yeah,
that was Villa. There was part of me that's like, I wish it'd been at Villa Park. I think, but at the same time, Wembley, my family don't do the away games. They do the home in the cup. So Wembley's enough tickets that they probably would be able to go. Villa Park, I don't think they would. So that way, I think it maybe hurts a little bit more that I missed that out. Not just that day with West Ham, but that day out that I would have had my family, But it's a tough one, isn't it? It's just to revisit some of the day. We all got into the grounds. Team news come out, and I think it didn't take too far reading down that team sheet before we got to 3. Max Kilman, and hearts kind of sunk a little bit. Was there a redeeming? I said it in the fan cam because I remember having a chat with Nicky after the Burton game, and we were talking about the young players that played and who done themselves justice. And I said I thought Ezra Mayers had done enough to be considered 4th choice centre half. I thought he's played really well when he's been called upon, and I would have preferred to have seen him play. And if he makes a mistake, he'll learn from it, as opposed to what's Killman now, 20, 28?
Late 20s, yeah.
He's not going to improve from this. He is what he is. We overpaid for him. That's not his fault, to be fair. But
mate, it ain't overpaying. That's money laundering. They weren't overpaying. That's money laundering.
I'll tell you what was interesting. I don't know if you see it, was that the post-match comments from Nuno as well were saying that potentially, possibly barring the penalty, he actually did all right. And I thought, he's very calamitous. He's very circus-like, and he's just not someone that you need in that sort of important stage of the competition. And obviously, I know we had a Mavrapanos concussion situation. I don't know what Tadebo's setup was, if he had a knock as well, but obviously they would have been in there, them boys, I think, if we could have had it. But yeah, like Dave said, I think you see Killman and think, fuck me, like we're on to an ardent and nothing here. And obviously, worst way to lose it, really, but we was in the end. And I know we're just talking about the penalty, obviously, beforehand, and that was a bit of an interesting one because he looked like he got the ball, and a lot of people where I sit, obviously behind that goal up in the corner there, was like, "What's a tackle that is?" And then only you see it afterwards when the VAR comes in, and he's literally complete opposite. He's got nowhere near the ball and just taking a man, and just a joke.
What did you make of that tackle from where you were sat, George?
I mean, I originally thought he won the ball, but my eyes are about as useful as my legs because of my condition. So I need to see it again. And then I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, if it was one mistake, fair enough. He's just a calamitous defender. And in my own YouTube video, I do like a vlog of the game. And I had to edit out about 30 seconds because even I swear a lot, but even I couldn't put it in the vlog what I said. Like I was going mental because it just has to be him. He's dreadful. Every time I see him in a West Ham shirt, he might be amazing for 89 minutes. He'll do something for a minute in a game, cock it up, and we'll end up losing or drawing. Like all the time.
I'll be honest, from where I was, I thought in real time, I turned to my brass. I was like, I'm amazed the ref's not giving that VAR a look at that. And a couple of people around me turned around and were, oh no, he's won the ball, I thought, I didn't see that ball move. That ball, that stayed pretty firm where it was to me. And then, lo and behold, the ball goes out. He goes to the monitor, and there's only ever one outcome. And then when you see it back, it's a bad lunge. With Killman, just to touch on overall, I don't think it's just how he plays. Like when he's in possession, he was constantly. He didn't want to do anything other than sort of play 5 yards. So he always wanted a safe option. And when he's out of possession, he looks like he's someone who just wants to be left alone. He doesn't want to be near an attacker. He doesn't want to have to do anything that might expose him. He looks so shot on confidence right now. But I think
he played in a back three.
Sorry,
mate,
he did it. He did. I mean, I think he did at Wolves, but he didn't. But like, it's not just that, but it's the effects he has on the team around him. Because if you look at the midfielders are now dropping like 5-10 yards deeper to try and protect him because they clearly don't trust him to do his job. I thought that was noticeable on Sunday.
Well, I think just on that as well. When you say that about the holding midfielders, I think that was down to Nuno largely because Potts and Magassa were fucking awful between them.
It don't work. They don't work together.
There's no difference. And what I did find is as well watching it, and especially being in the ground and the movements of different players, and especially Matty Fernandes, that just literally slowed his game down, and he wasn't able to have that as such, for want of a better word, free roll where he's picking the ball up, he's coming deep, and how deep he was coming just to like cover them. And then when we're losing possession and when we're not in possession, he's having to shut down a lot and he's not reserving a lot of energy that he might have done before. And that just didn't fucking work. And I think a lot of that was obviously down to the Killman situation and whether because he's just got a catalogue of errors. Like we've all seen it. We've all been there to see it, and it doesn't look very good at all. And that penalty capped it right off. But he was just, I think the way that he went about it, Nuno, I think there's so much to be said about that. But that just didn't look very good in that. To drag them both off at half time, I think was definitely the best thing he could have done. I was saying to a few boys I sit with that if them two come back out for the second half, and we got a long afternoon going on here, and it changed the game when Souček come on as a minimum. I think he got involved, and you need it. It goes to show that you need him in the team as well. It opens up a lot of good debate and a lot of good, talking points when you see a game change like that.
There's no ball progression in the midfield. That if you look when you play Magassa and Potts together, they're both the same kind of player. They both want to sit on the ball. They both want to be a metronome for deep, but it's only 5-yard passes. They want to protect the defense. You need someone in there to be that ball progressor, or in Souček's case, someone that's going to get forwards when you do play the long balls. He can at least be an outlet. Like you can't play them when Kante come on because he can run with the ball and he gets about a bit easier. We looked a different team. Kante should be a starting midfielder for me, and I'm not even joking.
I mean, generally speaking, he gets ahead of both of them as well, doesn't he? So I think that was more interesting as well because, I just think tactically, I think his setup just got it wrong. I'd like to have seen them two, be brought on from the start, and if you're then going to reserve them for the sort of upcoming league games and whatever, if we was in a position, winning position to be able to do that. Might have been a bit more interesting to see where we'd have gone from there. But for me, I just think he knackered the starting 11.
Yep, agreed.
It's a strange one, though, isn't it? Because like Magassa up at Man United was superb. So he maybe our memory's playing tricks. I remember him playing very well, but maybe our memory plays tricks on us a little bit because we was still in a poor run of form back then. When Freddie Potts had his breakthrough, I thought at one point he was a shooting to win Hammer of the Year. Like at one point, not recently, but going back October, November time when he sort of first broke in after Potter had gone. And I still think there's a player in Potts, but I don't know how we get it out of him. And I don't know what we can do now that Fernandes and Souček, because the other thing Souček gives you is leadership. Now we've got Fernandes and Souček kind of settled, and that's your first choice midfield too. I don't see where Potts comes in. And with Kante, I see a good player there, and I see a player that's improving. But again, where do you start him? Who do you drop to?
I do agree with that.
Side?
Yeah, I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough about them. I mean, I know they've had. I think injury scuppers them as well. I think maybe the type of injury that they get, and if they're coming back from a suspension, I don't think they're players that recover very well. Like Magassa, like you said, Dave, he went to Old Trafford and was best player on the pitch. Away from that, he hasn't really shown up. Like he don't mind doing a bit of dog work, and I think we just panic on the ball. But what I find with them two, especially Magassa, Potts, is that when they sort of may retain possession from a pass from another body, or whether they've put a tackle in and we've regained possession, they just panic, and then a simple pass becomes obviously ridiculous, and they're not able to carry that out, or they're going long and it's just not, and that's making them look even worse. So I mean, I tend to agree. I think with Matty Fernandes, and he's the pivotal point in that midfield. I mean, Souček, I totally agree with what you said. He gives leadership. He's got that quality. He knows there's an understanding there, and there's a commitment level there. Not to say that they haven't, but they're young boys, they're young players still. But yeah, it's just I'm not too sure where these youngsters fit in. I've been known to say a few things before about the younger kids coming through and the development teams and the 21s, the 23s, all the rest of it. But I can't see where they, especially at this point of the season when you need the better ones fit and they can sit in reserve for a minute. You need to have that core, what we're used to seeing every week in that midfield with this rundown, because I think we're going to get sort of sidetracked otherwise. The more that they get involved and come in, it's just, like I say, that's what these are for, isn't it? It's just an interesting situation.
I think Souček going back to the position that he was when he was thriving under Moyes, where he was getting forward a bit more, and he wasn't the holding midfielder that he was in Moyes' last season when Rice was getting forward. It's allowed him to be a different kind of player, because we're not really playing, whereas before it was Paquetá was always in the 10. We don't tend to have a 10. We have two strikers when we have the ball, and then when we don't have the ball, the striker drops into the 10. So we don't really have set midfield roles, and it is beginning to work because Souček's doing what he was doing before. We all know that Souček isn't a holding midfielder. We all know that he's not good at that. He's doing what he's been good at, in being the legs and getting forward and scoring goals and making a nuisance of himself. That's what he is. And it's not a shock that he's doing well.
Yeah, we need him well within the team, especially coming up now.
He should be captain for me. Who's our captain in a minute?
Bowen.
Yeah, I think he should be captain of a Bowen. I don't know why I had to think about that. About who's captain. But yeah,
maybe that will change.
But yeah,
I'd agree with that. I just want to add before anyone comes back at me that clearly, if a player of the season as Matheus Fernandes, I think that's kind of, I would say that's a lock-in, but our fan base voted.
I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised, mate. George, I wouldn't be surprised if Max Kilman wins Hammer of the Year this year, because if Wan-Bissaka won it last year, anything's possible. But
mate, if we stay up, Jimmy is the entire reason we stay up. Yes, Fernandes has been good, but Jimmy has carried that attack for probably a third of the season, if not more.
Yeah, but I think
up to this point,
more consistently week in, week out.
Oh, I don't disagree. I think if you're telling me who's a better overall player, then it's Fernandes. If you're saying who's done more in this season to get player of the year, then it's probably Jimmy.
Got it. Marshy, if you're voting now, hammer of the year, who are you voting for?
I think I'd say Matty Fernandes. I think at the moment, not
Oh,
to go against or
boring.
with anyone, but what I'm saying is that the most influential position on the pitch is centre midfield, and majority of people that know football will know that. You're in the engine room, you know what you've got to do. You've got to cut the play up. You've got to get box to box. He comes deep, and not only does he give that, but I know that we're out the cup obviously now. But when we miss them diabolical fucking penalties, by the way, which I'm sure we may come on to.
Yep.
He was straight over. He was straight over, consoling obviously that player that missed a penalty. And again, to lift up a mindset, to get back on that level and say, listen, don't fucking worry about it. We've got to do what we need to do. And I just think he's coming with a few goals. His passing ability is obviously very much there. He's not wasteful. He gets his foot in. I mean, a couple of tackles that I noticed sort of passed him by a little bit. And then you could see at the end how knackered he was. He was the first one down in a 6-yard, 18-yard box stretching. So you knew he'd done his bollocks. You know what you're going to get from him every week. And he has been showing that. And he's just, hopefully, he can continue on for these remaining games. And he'll be a pivotal factor as well in whether we stay up or not. And yeah, so I'd probably go Fernandes.
All right, so let's go back to the game. So if we go chronologically after the Killman's error of a tackle, fans responded by booing him. Now, I'm not a fan of the booing, but I will accept that it's the only sort of protest voice you could make against him at this point. It's harsh, but I understand. I don't like it, but I understand it. Jules, did you boo Killman when he touched the ball after the?
I'll admit, I lost my head. I lost my head completely. Yes, I did boo. I understand what you're saying, but I'm of the opinion, how else am I going to make a difference? All right, is he going to listen to me individually? No. But if you've got 40,000 people booing you, and that's just a number, that wasn't exactly what happened. But if you've got, for example, 40,000 people booing you, it's clearly going to say to the manager, 40,000 people ain't going to be wrong. And he makes a cock up every other game almost. So again, looking back on it rationally, would I have done it? Probably not. But I lost my head and I can understand it completely.
Marshy, I can't imagine you're one to boo.
No, do you know what? I'm listening to Georgia. I totally agree. I see both sides of it. I didn't boo personally. There was a lot of noise in and around me as there would have been across the ground. But at the end of the day, that's the only way that you're really going to get some sort of message across. I feel for him as a player, Killman. I feel for him because there clearly at once upon a time was a player in there, regardless as to what we paid for him, all the rest of it that goes with it. There was a player in there. And obviously I think that largely led down to Lopetegui and obviously that, relationship that he had with at Wolves. But that may be the only real sort of governing factor that you've got to sort of raise a bit of volume as to, look, you're actually not very good, and that's not going to do him very good, and that's the disappointing thing of it. And when you play for the team, you're going to try and back everybody, but we tend to do that. But then, like Joel said, when you've made a catalogue of errors, which he clearly has, he's not fit for the league. He's a minimum championship player at best, if not worse. And he's just, you think you'd come in and show potential to what you should want to be doing is be one of the best at the back four, the back five, whatever system and rotational system that you're playing. You should want to be one of the best players on the pitch or, covering them positions. But it goes to show that he's just sort of gone off the ball and, I feel for him, but then I get both sides of it as well. I think it's, people that boo, I don't blame. But I think a lot of people either just wouldn't do it necessarily because they're not, or because they don't agree with it, or, because it's just not something that they do. But it certainly did ring around. And that was, I think a lot of people before it even got to him were just ready to fucking boo. But that's just one way to get a message across, isn't it? Like, you're not going to be able to do much else. Like Jules said, it's half a dozen of one and six of the other. Like, you've got to sort of take with the rough with the smooth and he's sort of come to deserve that sort of criticism, and I don't like to see it with any of our players that, you know, put the shirt on their back and represent the team, but he's not covering himself in too much glory. He's not pulling up no trees, is he? So probably deserve it at the same point.
The one thing I would say is he's not really playing in a system that suited him. So if you look at, and you can say, oh, why did Lopetegui buy him? And Wolves played mainly with a back three when he was there. So he could be the aggressive defender where he can come into midfield and play those longer passes that we see against Palace in one of his early games. He was the player we thought he was going to be, because you had players, I think Conor Cody was there, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he was, who was that brute, who was that defender that knew how to defend and could defend properly. He's basically a midfielder playing in defence for me.
I think at Wolves as well, Max Kilman had Craig Dawson next to him, and I think we could all agree that Craig Dawson's
that explains it then. Craig Dawson's amazing.
Going to clear up a lot of your problems for you. Just in a word, yes or no? Obviously, Mavrapanos for a long time was very error prone and subject to some ridicule from fans. I think it's fair to say he didn't get the booing that Killman got, but he did get the criticism on social media, but he was seen as a bit of a joke figure for a while. But obviously he's had a redemption, if you like. He's had a redemption arc over the last, well, pretty much since Zazi coming in, it really. Mavrapanos has found some form. Do you think Killman can get that, Marshy? Do you think Killman could have that redemption?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think the long and short of the season's gone, hasn't it? And I think obviously when he comes into it for that catalogue and calamity of errors that he's made, you know, how many do we want? And generally speaking, you know, I've seen it go as far. I mean, I said it myself, you know, but on the social media accounts, you know, as we all do, we sort of get a bit hyped up with it all. When I said, look, I wouldn't be too disheartened if I didn't see him in the shirt again, which is probably harsh, obviously looking back at it, because, you know, maybe you do need a sort of player like George said. When you play in that system, he probably doesn't play very, you know, he's not the worst, because that's what he's used to. But I understand coming in playing different systems a lot harder, but I just can't see it. I think Mavrapanos has been a shining light, and I think, like you said, building up that relationship with Disasi, you can certainly see there's something there, and I'm hoping that come Friday night that's going to be restored, if I'm honest, because Killman, as you say, he shouldn't be anywhere near the team, and that's through his own devices, like, you know, it's through his own faults, and he'll want to rectify them, no doubt, because as a footballer, you don't want to take the criticism, you've got to take it all on the chin, and he'll be big enough to do that. But yeah, I can't see Mavrapanos coming from Killman.
George?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, clearly a good player, showed it in his early games for us. I'll always remember that Palace away game. He was unbelievable. I think he got the assist for the goal. But he's just, I'm not sure what he is as a defender. Obviously, I've said he's a midfielder, basically playing in defence. But what is he? He's not good at defending. He can't tackle. He's not quick. Like, he's not got one outstanding quality. He's just a bit of a meh player.
I agree. I don't think he's your brute. Yeah, he's not your number 5, is he? He's not your kind of big, wins it in the air, heads.
He's
it,
not
kicks
Craig
it,
Dawson.
No, he's not a Rio Ferdinand type, bring it out from the back either. I just can't see it. I don't know.
Do you know what he reminds me of? He reminds you of a Aguerd. Clearly a good player and good on the ball, but does he do enough? Sorry, as a defender, not for me.
Problem is, it's not what you do. It's not when you do when the ball's at your feet. It's what you do when we're out of possession, and that's the biggest thing.
That's what I mean.
I think,
like, you look at, well, when we were good under Moyes, you had Zuma and Dawson. They were crap at football, but you knew when the ball was in that box, they're throwing themselves in front of it and they're winning the headers. They're putting their where it hurts. And he ain't got that. He's not got that nous to be that kind of defender. He's not a James Collins. He's not a Craig Dawson. But he's also, like you said, Marshy, he's not a Rio Ferdinand. So what are you?
But when you say that, though, which is interesting, because I just think that shows that how bereft of confidence that he is. Because when you just said that about throwing yourself in front of the ball, I generally look at Killman and think, do you know what? He'll stick his heart on the sleeve. And if he's going in, and if he's going to do a Mavrapanos like a Haaland-esque fucking block, however it comes about, on the line, fucking a Haaland, whatever else, you would probably look at a Killman and go, do you know what? He'll put himself in where it hurts. But I think he's so bereft of confidence. But he's done that himself. Like, you know, he's been knocked out of the team when he had a run in the team, obviously when he first joined Lopetegui and all the rest of it, and that was obviously a lot of a disastrous ending. But I think sometimes you just got to look at yourself and think, you know, you've only got yourself to blame, and you'd probably be playing a lot more games and be inclined to be involved a lot more. But he will obviously support the team, and he you know, he won't. He's not one to criticise, you know, any of his teammates and everything. Like we're not in a position for that anyway, and it's not a done thing. But it's just I feel for him, but I just largely think he's done it himself, hasn't he? You know, so
Yeah, there ain't much else to say. We all know what he is. He's not a terrible footballer. He's not like, oh, you shouldn't be a professional footballer. He's just not what West Ham are. We are a club where our centre halves, during my lifetime especially, have been your more brutish, old school English or British or in Zuma's type British type centre half. He's not that. He's a futsal player. He's a technical ball player that if you played in a Man City, for example, I think he'd look all right because they ain't really got to do too much defending. It's just, can you play out from the back? Can you find the passes? Which you can do. But for a West Ham, we're crap. I mean, that means you got to do some defending.
I think, like Dave says as well, I think any time he gets on the ball, I think being that bereft of confidence, I think he just shits himself. Does he go short? Does he go long? Largely, he just pumps it as a route one. I think maybe he just gets on better with a route one type sort of managerial setup. And maybe, you know, before Wolves started playing under Lopetegui, it was sort of a lot more route one, sort of like an Allardyce-esque football and setup, if you like. And he tends just to wrap his left foot around it and sort of go diagonals and, you know, instead of maybe playing out. But like I say, confidence level doesn't allow you to do that.
Thing is, how many times on this show have we had conversations about Killman? Never mind me, you, Dave, every other West Ham fan. We're now, 80% way through the season. We all know what he is. We need to move on from it. He's not the player we hoped he'd be. We move on. Get him gone in the summer. I hope he does well for the rest of his career. All the best. But he's not a West Ham player. He's not a player that we respond to.
I think that's what you need to do. I think just wish him well, and if it is a case of going at the end of the season, which I imagine largely, I'll be shocked if it's not, then hopefully he can get on better somewhere else, and there is a player there, and hopefully he can deal with someone, you know, someone else's set up a little bit better.
Yeah. I disagree, to be honest. I'm not sure he's a good footballer. I look at him and just think, I think we got better players than that 21s, genuinely, than Max Kilman. To move on then. 90 minutes, ball goes up, 11 minutes of stoppage time, and a large number of fans head for the exits, as is your want, as is your right to do. Was either of you two tempted to leave early, or?
Oh, I tried to. My mate stopped me.
I actually wasn't, to be fair. I didn't have that temptation for once. I don't know why, because I mean we deserved to be 2-0 down at best, if not worse. And I just thought. And then, like you say, seeing that 11 minutes go up, I thought, hang about, that's more than enough time to create some opportunities. And we were obviously changed it up and we're playing better football and we were the better side at them points. And then as we saw it go on, but like you said, it's people's decision. Everyone pays for their ticket. You haven't got to stay. There's been a lot of discussion and that about it I've seen on the platforms, and no doubt everyone else has. And people are welcome to do what they want.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be, when I first got my season ticket, I was like, no, I'm going to stay to the end of every game, that kind of innocent, I love football kind of outlook. As I don't know, I'm just like, I paid my money. If I want to go, I'm going to go. See you later.
Yeah, that's what it stands to, isn't it? I think it's, if most people had seen enough, and then obviously you then have the added situation of trying to get back in the ground. Those that did, obviously, a lot probably didn't. You know, sets off another debate and another sort of argument in itself. Because I mean, if at the end of the day, if you've left the ground and that's been your decision and you've left the ground, you know, like to be able to get back in, you probably would be surprised to get back in. And those that did were lucky enough. And if the result was a different way around, then it would have been all worth it. But obviously, we weren't to know at that point. And yeah, another interesting one.
I'll be honest. I have left games early in the past, not for a while. I think the last game I left early was, I remember leaving Oxford in the cup at 3-0 and getting, or at 2-0, getting back to the cart, find it was 3-0, and then find out next day we lost 4-0. I left the Burnley Roberto game off about 70 minutes because that was only really one direction.
You must have left the Arsenal one game.
The 6-0. I stayed to the end actually. I did stay to the end on that.
Jesus.
But
I left Wolves for 50 minutes.
Fair play. I've not left the game early this season. Last season, it's been. I think pre-COVID was the last time I left the game early. My personal view is that if you choose to leave a game early, that's up to you. But you know, you can't complain too much. You know, if we're 2-0 down when you leave and we're 2-2, and then you can't get back in. It's you made your choice. Your choice was to leave.
Yeah,
so
decision.
Fair play to you. You took the decision. You know, the amount of games you've probably you would have probably left early and not missed a great comeback, and you know, been home or back in a pub in good time. You take the swings of the roundabouts, didn't you?
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to leave, so I come with my the classiest caterer, but it's one of my mates. I wanted to leave, and he was like, "No, stay." So I was like, "Fine." Thank Christ I stayed. The limbs for that equaliser were unbelievable.
I actually tweeted that we deserve so much more. When you see them videos that sort of some of the people put up, when that Disassi one went in and going across to that corner, fucking honestly, the scenes were mental.
I don't know if you've read the comments in your fan. I had Leeds fans commenting saying that goal should have been disallowed from Disassi, and I can't figure out what part of Disasi's goal in any way, shape, or form merited it. There wasn't a head on the line. It's not made contact with anyone. No, but it's not made contact with anyone. The ball's there to be won.
Yeah, but that's not the law. Apparently, it's like if you look at the amount of times where a attacker will stoop down for a diving header or whatever, or for any kind of header, they might squat down, and the defender will go and clear the ball, and if the ball isn't above their waist, they'll go out to put their foot through it, and then they'll be like, "High boot." It's not. You're right. It is not. It shouldn't be. But in modern day, that's what it's seen as.
The context of that game, there's no way that was. I mean, we had enough of the VAR situations, and rightly so with the two disallowed goals because they were daylight, clear as day offside. But the Disassi was, we needed that to sort of the whole place, whoever was left in there, was just been lifted, and then you get to the penalties.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't have too much disagreement with the offsides for the two disallowed goals.
No,
I still can't believe it. You know, we had 5 great penalties against Brentford, 5 of the best penalties. You know, if you could think of a penalty shootout, West Ham have hit 5 better penalties than that. You've got better memory than me. And then only 2 of the 5. Obviously, there was no Wilson, no Mavrapanos, and Tati was taken off. I don't know what happened to Bowen. He's brilliant penalty against Brentford. He scored 1 in the league, I think, as well.
Maybe we got to talk about that. That was just. I said to Nicky, I said, if anybody that's stepping up for this football club to convert from 12 yards, you're sticking your ass on it. I don't care who you are.
Nah, Souček, bruv. Souček's penalties for us and Czech Republic are unbelievable. Put him on penalties for the rest of the season. I'm not even taking the piss.
But he didn't, even in his walk-up, mate, he didn't look against it. He didn't look like he was worried and you know, concerned about it. He knew what he needed to do. And I think my boy could have obviously hit a better penalty than that. The 2 that we missed, I thought they were described. When you're a professional footballer at that level and in that juncture and the importance of a game, to take a penalty like that, I mean, I know that he was, he felt bad after he apologised, and he's carried us for fucking large spells for years. But that doesn't excuse the fact that you're, going up and taking a schoolboy penalty. I'm sorry, like, make the keeper work. And he just, we just didn't do that. And Pablo was arguably even worse, like no run up. He looks like he didn't want it. I don't know if he is a penalty taker, generally speaking, anyway. I don't know if he needed to step in because, like Dave said, no Pablo, no Mavrapanos, no Killman, no Wilson. I was shocked at that, I'll be honest, especially the Bowen one. I thought expected a lot better.
I think we've also been spoiled. What era were you boys like? What do you remember? Do you remember Julian Dick's era, or was that before you?
Yeah, I remember spells of that.
I look like I shouldn't, but I do.
Yeah,
Same as
so
that.
you've had Julian Diggs who would smash the fuck out of penalties. I've had Mark Noble who missed 4 out of about 40. Like, he was unreal. We've been spoiled when it comes to penalty takers. Whereas now, I still, as good as he's been for us, he's not Mark Noble. And I know that's not fair to lay that on him, but Bowen doesn't instill me with that same confidence, the same arrogance that Mark Noble had when he took a penalty. You knew 99 times out of 100 that's going in the back of the net.
Yeah, I think like Dave said, we're taking it from the Brentford game, and we know how good the 5 penalties were, and I don't think there's anybody that can say that they've seen 5 better penalties converted than that. But yeah, listen, Paolo, he's God to me, and he took some great ones. But I hear what you're saying, Noble. But I think we just expected a bit more. Like, as soon as he walked up, Jared, I think you just thought, you know what, like, anywhere, mate, just anywhere. And 9 times out of 10, it's going in. That just sort of just sets you on the back foot, doesn't it? Just gives you that sort of disbelief.
Yeah. Thing is, with them not losing it, but when they were missing the first penalty, you're thinking, cool, score this, you're in the driver's seat, it's in your hands. And he's just, poor penalty. All right, admittedly, you move on, he's been amazing for us, but how long are we going to keep saying that? He didn't do a lot in the game. Yes, he hit the bar, but he hit the bar from about 10 yards out.
Well, he hit the shot that got us back in it, didn't he?
Did he? My bad.
Yeah,
like I said,
got us back in the game.
Like I said, my eyes are horrendous, so I kind of have to take that with a pinch of salt. So fair enough. But in terms of the grander scheme of things, he doesn't tend to do what he used to. Like, if he did hit the shot that got us back into the game, then yeah, I apologise. But genuinely, because of my conditions to do in my brain, I can't see more than about 10 yards in front of me. So yeah, I do apologise.
No, that's.
I just want to correct.
I know what you're saying.
I just want to correct something you said there. I mean, I think you got it wrong. You said Leeds missed their first penalty, but I recall England's 2030 World Cup goalkeeper Finlay Herrick making a great save. We'll say Bowen missed because it was a poor penalty, but let's be fair. Yeah, that was a great penalty save from Herrick. And he almost got his hand on as well. Like,
you're psychic, aren't you? Because I remember I went to the Ballroom World Cup final with you, and we watched it together. Yeah, and you said in my instant match reaction afterwards, you said, this kid will be a Premier League goalkeeper. I thought in a couple of years' time, not a couple of weeks. Jesus.
Especially in that sort of game. Fair play to the kid, though. Fair play to him. He's getting a little taste of what it's about.
Do you know what? Just quick thing. What I was really impressed with, and it sounds really sad, and like, you need to get out more. How far he could lump the ball for a kid. Those goal kicks were flying. Normally, you got areolas who reach about halfway, maybe a little bit afterwards. The ball was bouncing in the opposition penalty area. He was lumping them.
Just a quick one, obviously, on this goalkeeper thing. What was the situation with Areola? Because at first it looked like cramp, and then was he actually injured? Did it? Someone I sit with said that there was a collision, or did he? That caused the young lad to obviously come on. It's great to see, but I thought I'm not really too sure what's going on with Areola here. To
be fair, I thought it was cramp.
Yeah, it looked like it.
Because I didn't didn't see him get hit by anyone and go down. He
that's what I
seems to be
thought.
holding his calf. Maybe it was a calf strain or something. Maybe something just went in his leg. But I'll tell you, I mean, you'll understand this, Marshy. You'll appreciate this. Finn Herrick could have played in the 90s. You know, those 90s goalkeepers had that snap and that snarl about them. And I've heard I was listening to a podcast earlier, and in a lorry, and these fans criticising Herrick for having a bit of personality and trying to psych out the Leeds players. So leave it alone. This kid's the real deal, right? But he could have, he's got that snap and that bark about him, and he's got that confidence and that bravery.
He's got that aura there.
When we were,
he was. I think he was fizzing on the adrenaline when he stopped that penalty. I thought, do you know what? Let's see what he can do here. Let's see what's going to go on, because if he talk about, obviously, if the shoe was on the other foot and we'd have won the game, can you imagine? Obviously, what that does to his confidence. But going forward, he's, like I say, he's been put on the scene there. He's been put on a very tough pedestal, for want of a better word. And in that situation and the importance of that game and what was sort of riding on it, I don't think he goes on like that. I know it's only part of that game and towards the end of play and in the penalties, but he didn't disgrace himself at all.
No,
I think he needs a year on loan next year. He needs 46 games in the Championship or League One, 50 if you include the cups or whatever, to get him that confidence of playing in men's football. He's already got it from the National League Cup. He's played in the Johnson's Paint of the Virtu, and he's done really well in both those competitions. So we know, if you're a Championship, a League One manager, League Two manager, like League One, really, I wouldn't want to see him in League Two, League One. If you're at that level, you can take a really, really good kid next year that is good enough. And then I don't want to talk about relegation for us. If it doesn't happen this year, I think we all expect us to be back in a dogfight next year. And if we go down next year, you've got your goalkeeper there ready to go, in the Championship, for the 27-28 season. And if I don't know if I want to say, I trust him next season. But I would like to see him get that year. He should have had that year this year. He should have had that year, at a club this year to get that experience.
To push him forward a bit. Yeah, I don't think he's going to have any trouble, obviously, with that. I think, he might be shocked to learn, obviously, that he might just play in the Championship sort of level. It might be a bit much, but I mean, if he's got the credentials, obviously, there behind him, and he's obviously training, does he do any training with the first team? Is he just sort of had it where it's a call up and he's more registered in the 21s and 23s, so to speak? But like I say, he definitely didn't look out of place, and I think he ran on adrenaline on that first penalty, and fair play to him. You need that aura, you need that snappiness, you need that confidence level, and that would have given him a boost. Everyone would have loved it, everyone's going to sing his praises, and it'll be interesting where he does go. And he needs that game time, he needs that experience, he needs to improve his qualities and in his levels, and he's got age on his side to do that. And
he's training with the first team. He's officially, I think, the third choice goalkeeper. Although he's probably second.
Where's Fabianski?
No idea.
I think he's just like an actual squad addition, isn't he?
I thought the idea was that he was going to be third choice, and then obviously Mason Terry's had a couple of loan spells. And then Finn Herrick was going to get his loan spell. We loaned him at Boreham Wood. Fabianski had a back spasm or something like that, from what I can remember. And then they recalled Finn from Boreham Woods, and Boreham Wood bought. Who was the kid that played against us? Was it Cash? Ted Cash played against us in the National League Cup final. He went there from Chelsea.
Ted Curd.
Ted Curd. That was the one. Yeah, he went there from Chelsea, and that was the door closed on Finn Herrick at Boreham Wood. And ever since then, he's been
because it was Nathan Ashmore. It was Nathan Ashmore, wasn't it? And then he went to Bedford Town.
Yeah. Yeah, they loaned him out to bring in Herrick, I think. And then called Ashmore back when Herrick went back, and then sent him back out when Curd joined.
Whatever happens, the future's bright for him. I really like him as a player. I think he's got that confidence, that cockiness that you need. I think you need more personality as a keeper, because if a midfielder makes a mistake, you've still got the defence and the keeper to get through. If you make a mistake as a keeper, 99 times out of 100, it means you're letting a goal. and he's got that kind of cockiness that you needed to keep the character. I listened to Ben Foster's podcast, and that's all he goes on about. He goes, "You need to be a bit nuts to be a keeper," and I've only seen him in a couple of games, but he's got that about him.
That's only going to. I think it's only going to improve that sort of status for him as well, isn't it? I think he's not bereft of confidence. He's going to go into somewhere, and like you say, whatever league that may be, and getting games under the belt is essential, and getting some stats about him, and then having a real talk about, obviously, is he going to push into the first team, dependent on what sort of level that we're playing at in the coming years, and if it's not going to be this season, will it be next? Because no doubt, like you say, if we're not going to vastly improve the team, then we're going to be struggling again, which may allow for him to obviously be involved in more games. So, like George said, the future is bright, and especially in positions like that when you don't. Maybe a lot harder sometimes to get that ilk of goalkeeper, and we seem to have that at the moment. So it's interesting. You want to keep hold of it.
It'll be interesting to see how far he can go. Like if he was to, and I'm not saying we should put him in for the last 8 games of the Premier League season, but to see, whether he's already at that level, because you're not going to know until he plays there, realistically. But from what I've seen of him in the 20, I'm not sure Hermansson's better than him, and he's got age. He's got years on his side.
Yeah, but so is
Hermansson
for a keeper. Yeah, but for a keeper, Hermansson's got another 10, 12 years in him.
Yeah, but I mean, Herrick's got another 3 years on Hermansson, I think, and 4 years on Hermansson, and I think given 12 months, Herrick could already be at a higher level than Hermansson is now.
But it's definitely food for thought, because of competition for places as well, isn't it? So people got to be careful. If others are going to be vastly improving every game they're playing, and they're getting speaking about, a lot of hype in the media, and a lot of people, just generally talking about them, then other keepers that are already in a bit better position like Hermansson, they're going to have to tread a bit carefully. You never know.
If we go down, and it is an if, you've got Areola, he ain't going to stick around in the Championship as number 2. It ain't happening. Not going to happen in a million years. But would he come in as a number 2 then?
See, I think he would be better off having a year on loan and sticking around as number 2. Is my honest assessment. But equally, if you could sell Hermansson and recoup the money on him, and get an experienced goalkeeper on a free for 12 months to act as backup, I'll be comfortable with Herrick playing in the Championship.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with any of that, mate. I'm really, like I said, I've only seen it 2 games, so it's a very short snapshot. But I'm really impressed with what I've seen. I really am.
FA Cup semi-final draw was made. We missed out on Chelsea. I said to Nicky after the game, we kind of agreed. It felt a little bit like that was the best choice for the semi-final draw for us. If he was going to handpick it, I know Southampton were in there, but that's the side on the up was flying. Man City, they're the hardest side left in it. But Chelsea, it's like if we could have learned from, what we did well at Stamford Bridge, being on the front foot, giving their defence, working their centre, because their centre halves are poor. Badiashile and Toyson. I'm surprised they let Dizazi go. If I'm being brutally honest, with what I see now, with what I'm seeing with how Dizazi's playing, and with what I'm seeing with Chelsea centre halves, he walks into that team. How they let him go is beyond me. He walks into that team. I think Chelsea are winnable. And I think if you're Leeds, Leeds can go into that game and be like, do you know what? If we set about them and get on the front foot early.
I think as a one-off game, it'd be very interesting. Like I say, if we learn from our faults and our mistakes in the league game, especially definitely not so much our game at home, but definitely at Stamford Bridge, I think we, like you say, we started on the front foot. We get in front, we create a lot more chances. A one-off game, you never know. We could have had our route into the final, but it will be interesting to see what Leeds can do. I was talking to a lot of their supporters, getting sort of mixed in with them, walking up over the bridge there on the way back to the station, and they were very complimentary, and they were sort of saying, I don't know how we've come away and won that, because West Ham created enough to maybe win it within the normal time and in the mix of the extra time as sort of as that went on as well. But and then obviously when they realised it filtered through that they got Chelsea, they were sort of saying, "Oh well, you know, like, maybe like us, you know, we didn't want Wembley anyway. We didn't want a cup run. We didn't want to win it anyway." But you never, and all that magic of the FA Cup, I understand that it's getting a bit late in the day now, and you know the last 4 in it, but it'll be, you know, I wouldn't be shocked, put it that way, if Leeds found himself in the final. I wouldn't be shocked, and Southampton will probably try and give it a go the best that they can as well. But we know what you get with Manchester City, and they'll largely probably go on to win it now. But yeah, I wouldn't be knocking Leeds out of the way. I mean,
Leeds have got 4 points off Chelsea, didn't they? In the league.
Do we?
yeah, they
I
beat
didn't
them at
realise
home,
that.
didn't they? Yeah, they beat them at home 3-1 or something, didn't they?
Yeah, beat them at home and drew them away. I think Chelsea bottled a 2-0 lead.
Oh, we know how that feels at Stamford Bridge, don't we?
But Leeds, you know, but what I thought as well, just in the mix of the game, is that they showed a lot more fight early on than we did, which is exactly what you need. What I said to Nicky after the game, you know, immediately after there, that you need that fight and that spirit, and they seem to show that. You don't look at them. I'm not so sure you look at us either, but if it boiled down to it and nobody knew the you know, the stature of the league and the positioning that teams were in, I don't think anyone would maybe say that we was in a dogfight or Leeds, but they tended to show a lot of what you need to you know, get yourself out of trouble until we started playing, sort of when we changed it up. But yeah, I think that they'll go to Wembley as a free hit with nothing to lose. They won't be expectant, and that's what it all sort of what it's about in the cup, isn't it? So I wouldn't be shocked if they come through it.
No, I wish them, if you're a Leeds fan watching this, good luck. I wish you well against Chelsea. And equally, I wish Southampton well after giving me the highlight of my weekend. Even with the benefit of hindsight, it was the highlight of my weekend, then beating that lot. Well, not that long ago, that lot was talking about a quadruple. 4 trophies, they were going to do it all.
Well, they were. They're down to half, and possibly just the one.
Yeah.
Mate, if they don't win if they bottle all 4, I think Arteta's head will come off. I think
there'll be a queue of Arsenal fans aimed with swords that will take it off for him if he doesn't. But I still think they're going to do it. I think they're going to win it both. I just got that Champions League draw and think
no,
they're on the right side of it. I think they, you know, obviously Sporting was a gimme as far as, you know, that was concerned. I can't remember.
Where is it now? Quarters. Is it quarters or semi?
They beat Leverkusen, didn't they, before?
Leverkusen won it, yeah, and then I don't know, the Dog and Duck and the Isle of Man before that. Yeah, they've had a real favourable run in the Champions League. They'll beat, I'd imagine Barcelona get past that league. I think they'll beat Barcelona over 2 legs. I think they'll bully them out, and then Bayern Munich in the final. Probably you kind of fancy him in a one-off game, I guess. I just don't see him bottling the league either. I don't see him bottling that league. I think they'll go to City next week and get a draw. City will drop points somewhere you don't expect them to, and
City need to win all 8, don't they? All 7 or all 8. City need to win a lot. We've seen
City
them do
got
that with 9 games to go, haven't they? We've seen them win all 9 the other year, didn't we? So they're not adverse to not doing it. But I think Arsenal.
Yeah, but the difference is I can't see Arsenal not matching that.
I just hope that if they've got the league sewn up before they come down and find themselves down at Stratford, I hope they put out a fucking under-16s team or something.
Well, it's in their interest to relegate Tottenham. So if we can keep Tottenham down there, then you know they might come one of them. But equally, I don't really want that lot patronising us by, you know,
no, we could do without
taking solace. All right, so let's go back to West Ham. We got Friday night under the lights. Feels like we get a lot of Friday and Monday night games, doesn't it? It just feels like
fixture changes.
Yeah, and for the life of me, I can't work out why Sky have gone, this is the game that everyone's going to stop what they're doing on Friday nights to watch. But there we are, us v Wolves, the big game that's going to get everyone's juices flowing for the weekend.
Because they want to see another fucking repeat of what happened at Molineux, no doubt, and they've got a good eye on the scrap.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe right.
But I generally hope, I said to you before, didn't I, before we got into this subject, that if we have got the players available that they're suggesting, that X is suggesting, that Nuno's suggesting, and largely what they're now saying is, from what I've read the latest article, is that everyone's around. So if that's the case, then I'm sorry, at home, it goes without saying, 3 points is, put it this way, don't get maximum points out of that game on Friday. I think that's job done.
yeah, I agree. Especially with Sunderland playing Tottenham as well. You think you win that, Tottenham got to go away to Sunderland, get a point, get a win out of that, because a point ain't going to be enough. And
we have to exactly what I was going to say. That Friday night game, we start first, stick pressure on, stick an intent there, send a message to say, look, we're not giving it up, we're battling, we know what we need to do, we know that we're prepared for this battle, and we have got players within that team that are willing to battle and turn a corner and show what is required. And then we can just see it all unfold over the weekend. But obviously, we have to do our job first.
During my coaching degree, there was one saying that one of my lecturers said to me, and I love it, and I still use it now. Control the controllables. Do what we can do, and we'll be absolutely fine. You've still got to play Brentford away. Yes, it ain't going to be hard, but we need to be looking to get something out of that. Same as Palace, same as Everton, and same as Wolves. You get 8 points out of that. These
next 4 games, isn't it? These next 4 games is going to tell the story of our season.
You get 8 points out of that, and then you got Leeds last game of the season. You're thinking you might need a point from that game.
Well, I just want to have it wrapped up and be mathematically safe as soon as possible.
I was saying to one of my dad's best mates, he's a Leeds fan, and I said, I would love for Leeds and West Ham to be 2 points clear of relegation. All they need is a point to relegate Tottenham. Forest are clear, and Tottenham are done. I'd
kick it to each
nil
other.
draw, please. Yeah, nil draw, please. Thank you very much.
Training game, just a couple of passing exercises.
Yep.
That would do for 90 minutes. I'll sit through that.
I think I'd go on a 3-day bender, like if that happened. I think I'd celebrate more than if we won the league.
I think
No.
anyone that goes home, if that is the inevitability, anyone that goes home within a very quick fucking turnaround, I think you need help. Because what could be any better?
I genuinely believe it would probably be barring Prague and maybe last season at Upton Park. Probably top 3 seasons in my lifetime.
I think if we'd have won the FA Cup, Arsenal finished trophyless and Spurs got relegated, I think the end of the season would have been.
Would you be inclined to get back on the booze?
Probably not.
No.
But I would desperately enjoy it. I would definitely have an alcohol-free one to celebrate. I'd be spraying Guinness Zero all over the place like nobody's business. I tell you, that would get me a magnum of Guinness Zero. I would be absolutely. It's not going to happen anyway. We're out. But
the latter could.
The latter. Oh, if Spurs go down, we'll be spraying Guinness Zero all over Stratford. Once I've stopped laughing, obviously, because it would just be hilarious. I don't even hate them. I don't even hate Tottenham.
I despise them. I'll admit that.
Oh, I can't fucking deal with any of it. None of it.
They're for me. I think maybe the second most annoying North London fan base, but no, I would just find it hilarious if they went down. But I've got nothing against them. I don't. Generally, honestly, they're like Fulham or QPR to me. They're just another London club.
No,
I have. I hate Tottenham. I hate you, Tottenham. I want nothing to do with them.
Not long to find out. We're going to have to buckle up because these weeks are going to come and They're going to come by and then be gone. So
Yeah, then June will come and really drag because there'll be no football. Time will just pause itself. Friday night, though, players do score against their former clubs. That is one of those rules of football, like gravity and other.
Max Kilman hat-trick. Max
That's what I was
Kilman
getting
hat-trick.
to. Is it in the stars? Do we start Killman? Do we tell Dino, sorry, mate, you never play for Wolves, you're not going to score today, and stick Killman in?
Hell to the no. Hell to the no.
Definitely agree with George. But if he comes on and fucking knocks one into the corner in the 93rd minute, and we win it 1-0,
I imagine it'll be the most ear cupping celebration any footballer will ever do. I don't think you'll see.
He'll do this, won't he? He'll do this.
Yeah, he's going to stand in front of all the West Ham supporters, let alone the Wolves, and go, "Yeah, I'm sorry, what?"
Do you know what? And if he scores a winner, he's entitled to do it. I'll probably berate him on a fan cam for it because I will be like, "How dare you do that? Have you seen the way you've played lately?" But you know, not in the heat of the emotion. I'm right now just being a bit chilled indoors. I would say, yeah, good luck to you, mate. Go for it. Cup your ear. If you want, you can come up. You can, you can come up to where I'm sitting if you want and slap me. You know what I mean? Go for it. If it means you scored the winner against Wolves, Max, you can do whatever you need to do.
Makes you feel better, Max. Let's have it.
I think really say if it's going to be Mavrapanos and Zazazi centre halves, isn't it? I'm guessing as Wan-Bissaka finished his party.
Well, he's back in the
drinking
training.
on bongo in the Congo.
If that's true,
clips,
if that's true that they had like a celebration thing, that's why he misled, then it is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. Have you heard that rumor? That apparently they had like a parade to celebrate, and that's why he was out.
Celebratory from their president or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, the president went out of the country or something.
What's their name? Tottenham?
Well, it's a load of bollocks, isn't it? But then I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Even if he was available, would he have played or would he have saved him for Wolves anyway?
It's been and gone, and it's done.
Did all right. I thought Walker Peters did all right on.
I'll give him his due, Walker Peters. I was surprised because I thought, generally speaking, games prior to that, especially the Burton game, I think they took him off, didn't they? And he was shagged. But I thought, you know what, Leeds is a different entity, and obviously, they're Premier League as well as we are. The fitness will tell. But he seemed to hold his own really well, and fair play to that. I mean, took a penalty as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
he scored, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Did he do enough for you two to keep his place, or are we bringing Wan-Bissaka straight back in?
No, we need. I think
he's a very good backup, but he's not quite on the level of Wan-Bissaka. This
is the crunch time now, though, boys. This is where you need that 11 that are gonna, strongest 11 for as long as possible, and as well as that, obviously we need to be scoring a few goals and all, because that goal difference with Forest ain't looking too clever. 5 behind, I think we are.
If we get a 2-0 win, Forest got our game this weekend, and they got.
I don't know. They got.
I think we've got the most winnable game this weekend, but yeah, it's only a 2-0 one for us and a 2-0 defeat for Forest, and that 5 goals is wiped out. So
yeah, it comes to 1, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about a 5-goal swing with 7. Maybe if you've got 2 games to go, you start looking and go, all right, maybe.
Yeah, I'll get you. But it's just when you look at it, you think we need to convert, don't we? And this is the time, no better time than Friday. So it's a huge game, and we're no stranger to it, are we? We've said it a million times, and we know when the pressure's on what we need to do. And that's what worries me slightly, is that whenever we get an opportunity, we never fucking deliver, ever. And we saw that just Sunday, Easter Sunday, just gone.
We are the world's shittiest postman. What you're trying to say, Marshy?
I just loathe it.
We are DPD. Is that what you're trying to say, George?
Well, we're like a poor man's Amazon, aren't we? We're just we are like a DPD-esque type situation. But no, listen, Friday is get all the if that is true what they're saying and what they're reporting. Jimmy, Mavrapanos, Wan-Bissaka, Souček from the start, get them all back in there. Jared, Jimmy, Tati, Pablo, Matty Fernandez. surely.
Souček.
I can't.
I think at this moment in time, 10 the 11 pick themselves. So far as Hermansen will start in goal. Your back fours, Wan-Bissaka, Juve, Mavrapanos, Zazu. You've got a midfield four of Bowen, Somerville, Souček, Fernandes, and I think Tati starts up front. I think the issue you've got is do you want to put your 11th man to Debo in and put 3 centre halves and push the wing backs up, and you've got Tati, Bowen and Jimmy as a front three. Do you want to put Kante in and go with a 4-3-3 with Kante and Fernandes pushing on? Yeah, you've got 3 midfielders.
That'd be mine.
Or do you bring Pablo in and go 2 up top, and maybe Tati drops deep and Pablo drops deep, and they work in tandem? There's so many options at the moment.
I'd go with it. I'll be honest with you. Sounds stupid now. I'd go with the first one. I'd play 3 centre halves and 2 wing backs and let them bomb on. Because then we've got extra bodies obviously going forward. Yes, they've got to defend. We know that probably Wan-Bissaka not so bad, but certainly Juve can't defend as well as he attacks, which is one issue with that side of the setup. But I generally, you sort of try and picture it and think, you know what, if you've got the full backs obviously bombing on, that's another couple of bodies obviously that gives Wolves something to deal with. And then that firepower that, generally speaking, because that's exactly what it is. There's players there that know where the goal is, and if you allow them to do it, they're going to do it. So if we hit the ground running, then I don't want to say too much, but it could be a long night for Wolves if we get it right.
I'd be playing Kante. I think he's done more than enough to get a start. I really do. I really like him. Play Kante and Souček a bit deeper. With Kante getting forward when possible, same with Souček, but you got to take it in turns. Fernandes is that 8/10 who stays forward and is the more advanced of the midfield 3, and then the rest of the team, like you said, Dave, picks itself.
I would, if Tadebo is fit, I would be inclined to go with Tadebo and give Souček and Fernandes a bit more license to bomb on, knowing they've got 3 solid centre halves behind him. We're going to close that space. If Tadebo isn't fit, I wouldn't throw his Ramaz into this game. I would go with Kante and try to pack the midfield out a little bit. But we've got options. There are options there, and as long as we keep him injury free and suspension free, I think we're going to be all right. Be all right for this one. Marshall, do you want to give us a prediction to wrap this up?
Give us a prediction. All right. 3-1 West Ham.
George?
You can't have that, Marshall, because I'm going 3-1 West Ham. I think, I wouldn't say comfortable, but I think we'll have too much quality for them. 3-1.
I'm going to go 2-0. I think we might get a clean sheet in this one. I've got a feeling we might. And then if Jimmy's fit, Jimmy and Tatty.
I'll certainly do us. I reckon Bowen, Brace, Tatty, 3-1.
I reckon Mavrapanos from a corner. Tatty will get 1, and Jimmy will get another on his return, similar to Forest.
That will do us.
It don't matter who scores, though, does it? As long as they're in my fantasy team.
Same as that.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to visit OK Jerseys for your new kits for the England for the World Cup. I think I said last week I was ordering mine. I haven't got around to it yet. They've got some really good Euro 96 ones for us of a generation that remembers Euro 96.
You old a lot. Because you might even have a 1960.
I'm older than you. Yeah, I don't look it, but yeah, I'm older than you.
Wow.
Use your discount codes as well, Nicky 10.
Yeah, I think the boys are back tomorrow night or Thursday night tonight. Maybe if you're watching this on Thursday, with Friday Night Pint looking ahead to the Wolves game. One thing left to say, boys, come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.